has been invited tomorrow. Why don't they just go ahead? The Honorable Omane Boamah is here with his supporters.
The glass is either half full or half empty. So you see it half empty, somebody see it half full. That's your opinion versus our opinion. So let's see what happens after the conclave.
Thank you very much. The Member of Parliament for Tijasi Ascot, are you a free? Been impugned. They want to clear that up before they go on with the vetting.
Yes, it was an unfortunate statement made by Boamah. I agree that they may invite him to substantiate, but how do you hold everything constant until that is done? I mean, I don't think that the process should be halted because somebody has impugned ill motive or has impugned the integrity of the members. There have been allegations upon allegations. That should not stop governance from progressing. So you are going to invite the person. What if the person is not in the country? Would you wait till he returns and appears before we continue with the process? What if the person is indisposed? Would you wait till he gets better? So let us go ahead. You have registered, we have registered our displeasure. It's an unfortunate statement. Whatever should be done to deal with it should continue, but the process should not be terminated.
Are you bothered that as a Member of Parliament, these allegations keep coming up? Not just about the Appointments Committee, even other committees of Parliament, there's been allegations of people taking bribes. Are you bothered as a Member of Parliament?
Yes, I am. It is unfortunate, and we need to investigate it. If he has any proof to that, he should bring it, and then whoever took bribe must be sanctioned. I think that it will be a fair thing to do, but at the end of the day, the process must continue.
Thank you very much. That was the Member of Parliament for Sojaman, Honorable Dako Ampim. Still here, support of the Honorable Dr. Edward Omane. Approved by Parliament. What kind of man, having worked with him, do you think he is, and what expertise would he be bringing to that ministry?
Well, yes, I've worked with Dr. Omane and I'm here because of him. He's a very good friend, and in terms of competence, he's one of the most capable and competent persons I've ever worked with. So the firm believe that he brings a lot of experience, excellence and competence to this particular portfolio.
As a lawyer, what Boamah has said, how does it come to you, these allegations of members of the appointments committee taking bribes? How does it come to you having heard these allegations?
Well, you heard the chairman that the allegations are completely untrue. And if they are untrue, they border on reputational issues. And the chairman is taking it on. He's supposed to come here tomorrow and substantiate whatever it is he said. I mean, I'm now reading and hearing it for the first time. But they are very, very serious allegations, and that's why they've invited him here tomorrow.
And if these allegations are as serious as you say, is it not right for the members of the minority to want to clear all these things up before they continue with the vetting?
I disagree with that. The vetting must go on. It has nothing to do with the vetting of the candidate who is here. I mean, if we are waiting to deal with these allegations before continuing with the business, that means government business must halt. I mean, we're in a hurry to work. The vetting must go on.
Thank you very much. Legal advisor to the President, the Honorable Marietta Brew. Hey, I also see a former Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC here, Chairman Ade.
My friend, he's
hello.
the national chairman too.
Hello, sir. You're looking well. Good to see you. What do you make of what has just happened here?
I mean, it's a waste of time. Seriously, it's a waste of time. If everybody is going to rely on what is said on social media, will not be here. So when somebody makes a statement that Afenyo Markin is chasing somebody's wife, are you going to drag the person to Parliament House? Or the members of the minority are chasing people's wives?
But if someone alleges that members of the Parliament's appointments committee are taking bribes, don't you think?
Now they've invited the gentleman to come, so deal with him. That's all. Deal with the person. Privilege committees are there. Send him the privilege committee, and but the process must go on. Simplicity. The process must go on. There's privilege committee. Take him the privilege committee, and let's move on. So I don't understand what they are doing. I mean, we've been here for 2 hours on this frivolous accusation. I call it frivolous. It's a frivolous accusation. There are a lot of allegations flying on.
Are you saying they should ignore it?
It's frivolous. He rightly said that 4 years ago, a similar situation happened. Every year, every vetting year, this kind of allegations goes on. This is not the first time. 2021, 2028, 2020, whatever, every year, these allegations fly around. So what they're talking about, it's not something new that they should make a fetish out of this. It's just frivolous, honestly. It's frivolous.
Thank you. Asaki, you're of the PNC. I even saw your flag bearer here.
Yes.
What's the PNC's business at an NDC vetting?
Oh, you know, I'm the national chairman for my party. My leader is here. My leader happened to be Omane Boamah schoolmate. They were year mates in the Kivas, and even they contested student leadership together. But if you look at the political era, you realize that in 2024 elections, the PNC, we have declared for the NDC and the NDC presidential candidate at the time, who is now elected, had overwhelming victory by Ghanaians endorsing him as the President of the Republic of Ghana. And if you also come back to me, you remember that I was in IPAC, okay? In all the IPAC meetings, Omane Boamah was leading his party team with Dr. Tanko and Yaira Kuku, right? Yaira Kuku, and they were at IPAC representing. I was also leading my party. And we fought. These guys were very fantastic guys, so far as IPAC meeting was concerned. And we really fought the EC to make sure that we had a very credible election in this country. So if today someone like you are sharing the same platform with has been nominated for minister designate and is to be vetted, it is imprudent for me as another chairman to come here and support. And of course, already everyone Ghanaian knows that PNC had made our decision that we wanted NDC to be in government, and they had in government. Right. And so my friend is here today. I have to come.
You're here to support him. You're here to support him.
No, but I'm saddened that the lawyer Boamah is a lawyer. Everybody knows it's an activist, and such an activist to come and throw this dust into the Ghanaian public. And it is not only within local content now; it is now internationally worldwide. I think I agree with the chairman, committee chairman, summary him that he should come and then prove his allegation, or otherwise they will revoke certain things in Parliament. This is the time Parliament will have to stamp its foot. But of course, the minister, why he has made this declaration in public, I think there's no need for us to say we should postpone the vetting. I think the minister has been here, he has been suffered for several hours, he has been sitting here, and so that alone could give that they should be able to understand the plea by the chairman. But I'm happy that the minority leader is saying that they should retire to their chamber, discuss and come back. I am hoping and pray that this thing they will treat it tomorrow, they will deal with it as it's supposed to be, but the vetting should continue today.
Thank you very much. Before him, you heard the former Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the NDC, Adekoka, and then you just heard the Chairman of PNC, Asake.
Victory of 57 plus, and then over 183 members of parliament. So what do you expect? A person like that who led the charge, of course the micro minority will want to flex themselves.
Hold on. Are you saying that what the minority is doing is deliberate because of the role Dr. Omane Boamah played in the elections for the NDC?
Of course, clearly. Nobody needs to tell you it's deliberate. This is not the first time matters of this nature came to fore. This is not the first time. It happened severally, even their own self. Their leaders accused a businessman who brought huge sums of money. You remember those days? And it was all over the place. This is not the first time. They are accusing them of doing all these things. And then they've made copious references to that. And I'm saying that here in his case, it's just because he led the charge. He's the one who led the onslaught to dismantle them and brought them to where they are. You think they're happy with that? They're happy sitting where they are seated? They are not happy. The one who led, what do you expect? They would definitely want to just even prevent his vetting.
But they have approved almost all the nominees except for the Minister Designate for Lands and Natural Resources. At least that's what Mr. Fenno just told us. So they've been helpful. They've been cooperating with the committee.
I'm saying that this gentleman led the charge. He is the director of election of the NDC. He led the charge. In fact, he led us with all the strategy, the demolition strategy that gave us the overwhelming majority in parliament and over 57%, unprecedented, where an opposition party will come for 8 years to demolish a ruling government like that, which has everything that you can think of. Okay, what do you expect? They want to flex. They want to do everything to frustrate his vetting. That is just their point. Otherwise, they have no basis for whatever they are doing over there.
If someone accuses members of parliament of taking bribes to vet the nominees of the government, ministerial nominees of the government, don't you think that's enough basis for the parliamentarians themselves to stand up for themselves?
They stood up. The leader, the chairman of the committee stood up vehemently. You could see it. He was angry when he was even given the orders. He stood up. He said, tomorrow the gentleman must be hauled here to answer questions. So from now up to tomorrow, what are they going to be doing? Why do you punish the nominee for not being part of it? Or is the nominee part of those being accused of giving money to them? This is his first time. He's just coming. Even this morning they wanted to do it. He followed his time. He gave him 11. And so we're seated waiting for the time. Why are they going to punish him for crime that he did not commit? I am saying that the basis for what they are doing is just that he led the charge. He's the one, the chief body camera activator, the eagle eye man. So they want to flex their muscle. I mean, they just want to flex and say, okay, we want to deal this man because he causes our defeat. He's the one who led all this charge, and we are where we are now. That is what they are doing. But at the end of the day, I know he's going to be vetted and approved.
What do you expect after when they return from their meeting?
Smooth vetting and approval. And I know he's going to show the skills.
Has the president called you yet?
I trust his judgment. I trust the judgment of his
Are you expecting the president's?
Our duty was to get MPP out.
serious matters, and of course the lawmakers have the right to protect their reputation, but there are also lawyers and they know that due process takes a while and takes time, and they must also embrace due process even as they take steps to protect their reputation. And so I think they should proceed with the vetting, and we would hear what the chairman's position on the matter is pretty shortly.
Do you think that the process should continue even if the minority side decides to boycott this?
This is my personal opinion. Yes, I think so.
Won't that have any effect on the appointments of Dr. Boamah? Because members of the minority group refuse to be part of his vetting. Won't that affect his legitimacy in any way?
The records will show that it had nothing to do with the competence of the candidates. The records will show that it wasn't because of anything the candidates did. That decision was a collateral damage, and he happened to be in the seat at the time that this, unfortunate matter reared its head. It would not be a dent at all on his image, because it isn't because of him that this matter has happened.
Before I let you go, what do you make of what Boamah posted on his social media? I mean, these allegations keep popping up every now and then. Even other committees of parliament have suffered same. What do you make of the fact that people keep impugning the reputation of parliament with these allegations?
It's not only parliament that has perception issues. The judiciary has suffered same. The security agency, the Ghana Police Service, has suffered, similar. I mean, various institutions have public perceptions, against them. Independent, study institutions like Afrobarometer comes out with its findings. In fact, in the last Afrobarometer report, these perception issues found expression in how citizens interface and deal with them. I think the solution is for these institutions to work hard to rid themselves of those, negative perceptions, and it requires work. It is also not to suggest that there are no issues at all, because the public interfaces these institutions, broadly speaking, and there will always be bad nuts in every institution. So it's always for the few good ones, or the many good ones, to work hard towards protecting these institutions, so the institutions are able to rid themselves of the negative bias, negative perceptions. It cannot be totally done. There will always be such perceptions. Yes.
All right. Thank you. Samima Muslim, media personality, now part of the NDC fraternity.
Clerk of the committee, kindly administer the oath. You said? Oh, you've done that already. Oh, well, if you have if you've done that already, then before proceeding with the vetting question, I have some questions for you. Ever since you are nominated as a minister, before the introduction, you tell us about yourself. Have you spoken to me on phone?
No, Mr. Chairman. The last time we spoke must be somewhere September or August 2024.
After your nomination as a minister designate, have you been to my office?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Meeting you today on the corridors of the vetting room, have you sight your eyes on me after your nomination, announcement of your nomination as a minister responsible?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Did I ever call to demand money from you?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Now, before I give you the floor to tell us about yourself, it's been alleged that we demand monies from the nominees before vetting. Tell the general public whether I, Bernard Ahiafo, or any member of the committee ever demanded money from you before today's sitting.
Mr. Chairman, I've not received any such call, and so that is what I can say. I'm here to be vetted, to answer the questions to the best of my ability, and with your blessings, to serve our dear nation as much as I can. Thank you.
Very much. May you proceed to tell us about yourself.
I'm Kofi Omane Boamah, trained medical doctor by profession, married with 3 children, also a health policy analyst, former Minister for Communications, former Deputy Minister for Environment, Science and Technology, former Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, also presently Director for Elections and IT of the NDC. For the 8 years that President Mahama was in opposition, I also served as a policy advisor and political strategist to him. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You are welcome to the vetting committee.
Great.
Honourable members will proceed by taking questions from the members of the committee. It is my pleasure to start with the subject matter committee members. So I give the floor to Honorable Amankwa Menu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me take the opportunity to congratulate Dr. Kofi Omane Boamah for his nomination. And also let me take this opportunity to welcome to this vetting room some past officers of the Ghana Armed Forces. I can see some past CDS and some 7 officers. They are so welcome. Doc, congratulations once again. We all know that Article 210 creates the Ghana Armed Forces. Now, the Ghana Armed Forces is a creature of the 1992 Constitution, charged with the responsibility of defending Ghana. We have men and women who go through sacrifices, and the sacrifices they go through emanate from the kind of training they go through. We have had instances in this country where people have always asked questions about the way recruitment and enlistment into the Ghana Armed Forces is done. If you are to look at what members go through, I mean members in uniform, soldiers, our men and women in uniform go through. Obviously, if you do not meet a certain criteria, it will be very difficult for you to really do the kind of job they do. As a minister, looking at the fact that the Ghana Armed Forces have a time-tested, laid-down processes, procedure, and the training that they go through, as a minister designate for the Ministry of Defense, and looking at what the soldiers go through, looking at, the time-tested training or the time-tested procedure, processes, and all that they go through. As a minister, would you at any time circumvent this time-tested processes and procedure for enlistment and recruitment into the Ghana Armed Forces for political expediency?
Thank you, Honorable Minister Designate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So today I just want to stop him. Stop him. Chairman, in the early days of the vetting process, a need arose for you to be seen as the chair of this committee and none other. Rightly so, you are the chair. I want, for the last time, plead with those who come here as friends of committee, especially from the majority, to allow decorum, what we call decorum, to manifest at this committee. I will end it here.
Proceed to give your answer.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Knowing the Ghana Armed Forces that I know, and from where I sat about 17 years ago, if you circumvent the procedures, the rules of engagement, and you get enlisted or recruited, you are likely to suffer. And there have been some dire consequences. Some recruits have died on day one. I remember at 37 Military Hospital, there was even someone who was in training. Not that the person was flat-footed, but it was almost there. Severally, the person had to come on admission. If you have a heart condition and the systems are circumvented and you are enlisted or recruited, you are just jeopardizing your life. And so, looking at it purely from the medical point of view, I'll be the first person to advise you, if you genuinely don't qualify, not to attempt it. Let's face it, I recall 1997, when I visited, the person is still a serving officer, so I don't need to mention the name. When I visited the person at the academy, one of the first things I saw was, abandon all hopes of normal life, all ye enters here. What that means, that at the beginning of the training, you are being asked to abandon all hopes of normal life when you enter the military academy. And it is not easy. If I may add, some people go all the way to the point of being tempted, and they consider and drink water that has been used to soak clothes, because you are thirsty. You are tested to the limits. That is the reality. And so I will not, and have the assurance that I will not circumvent the procedures. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any follow-up questions.
Thank you very much. I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Habib.
No,
you don't have any further?
No follow-up.
No follow-up, but you have a further question. Please go ahead.
Mr. Nominee, we know that the West African sub-region has issues with terrorist activities. And the experts tell us that the movement of these groupings is southwards. If you look at all the countries within the sub-region, most of them, if not most of them, except probably our beautiful country, have tasted the bitter pill of terrorist attack. The Akufo-Addo government, in trying to provide security for this country, adopted two, as it were, two strategies. First of all, to have Operation Conquered Fist, where men were sent to man our borders. And then secondly, for the long-term effect, to build the forward operating bases, FOBs. Most of these FOBs are at various completion stage. And then to also deal with the issues of our waters, because we also had pirates coming in. There was the need to also get long endurance vessels for the Navy to be able to man our waters. I know that one of the vessels is waiting for parliamentary approval. Mr. Nominee, if you are given the approval, what would you do? Would you immediately work very fast to ensure that the FOBs are completed so that soldiers can move in, and then see to the acquisition of this long endurance vessels to enable our men provide the security that we so need in this country?
Mr. Chairman, the FOBs are very critical and they are needed in protecting Ghana. It is true that terrorists, and if I may add, violent extremism, has caught up with us. Successive governments have done very well in ensuring that we have not recorded any incident at this stage within the territory of Ghana. But there is also the strong belief that there are some sleeper cells of some of these groups, which so far our military has been able to contain and sometimes even push them out of the country. Where we are, we cannot do without the FOBs. And if you ask me, we may even have to consider accelerating the completion of what are already under construction, and then also identify some of the border areas. We have as long as over 2,000 kilometers stretch regarding the fringes of Ghana. And if these fighters, silent fighters who use the David and Goliath kind of a system, the asymmetry system in which they use to fight countries, are minded to attack us, They have over 2,000 kilometers to help them to strategize. What it means is that we need more of these FOBs, but not just that. You raise the issue of the naval vessel. It is not just the Navy that has challenges. Without exposing our armed forces too much, because our neighbors are accelerating their re-equipping. The truth is that the Air Force also needs re-equipping. I don't want to go into too much details regarding that. So it's a holistic thing. And in looking at this, we also need to sensitize the populace, because it is not just a matter of acquiring the vessels, acquiring the equipment. The citizens must also be conscientized so that they will be able to help the Ghana Armed Forces to detect early when these incursions are being done. And this is where I commend the appointment of Lieutenant Colonel Larry Bevlolate as the envoy to the Sahel regions. Is going to assist to be able to understand, help in early eye detection, assist with defense diplomacy, whilst our Ghana Armed Forces also continue to engage them. And so yes, we will need to complete the FOBs. We will need to consider extending even the FOBs to other parts. It is not just the borders, even the riverine areas. There are some entry points that can also be considered. And so you can have my assurance that together with the service commanders, the CDS, and with the commander-in-chief himself, we will do everything that we must do if I receive your approval to protect and defend our dear nation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'll do with my last question. Honorable nominee, the Ghana Armed Forces has been going through some expansion. And one problem bedeviling the Ghana Armed Forces has to do with accommodation. The Akufo-Addo-led government embarked upon the barracks regeneration program where houses of befitting accommodation were built in all the garrisons in the country. Looking at the housing situation we have, would you, when the approval is given, make conscious effort either to continue with the barracks regeneration program or to make that conscious effort to provide befitting accommodations for our men and women in uniform who are doing so wonderful? When the approval is given, make conscious effort either to continue with the barracks regeneration program or to make that conscious effort.
15,000. If I'm not mistaken, it's about 17,000. Efforts have been made by successive governments to ensure that this deficit is bridged. Let me assure you, several options will be considered. The most important thing is to ensure that accommodation is provided. Even if we would have to look at the PPPs that are being done, even if we would have to draw on Government of Ghana budget.
On the accommodation.
Very well.
Very brief. I will want the nominee to assure us that it will not just be accommodation, but a befitting accommodation for our soldiers.
You have, Mr. Chairman.
Please proceed to answer, but be brief with your answers.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It will be befitting. I visited a lot of my mates who had passed out and everything, and we saw at first hand some of the difficulties, and so we will make sure it is befitting. Thank you.
I recognize Honorable James Agalga.
Congratulations, Honorable Dr. Omane Boamah, for your nomination. You are a medical doctor who has practiced at the 37 Military Hospital before, and I know you are abreast with the challenges that the 37 Military Hospital is faced with. Doctor, when you are approved, what would you do to improve upon the prevailing conditions at the 37 Military Hospital, and also to ensure that the Afari Military Hospital, which works commenced as far back as, in fact, when the NDC was in government previously, you'd ensure that that hospital is completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. He's answered one part of the question, because if you are able to get Afari on stream, it will reduce the pressure on 37. Referrals will not have to be coming from Ashanti region upwards to 37. And 37 is used not just by serving soldiers and their families, but also veterans also use that. There is also an initiative that is ongoing, said that they are looking at building a new facility in Accra to take care of the soldiers, because it is believed that civilians are overcompeting with the soldiers and their families at 37. If that facility in Accra is completed, what that also means is that it can reduce the pressure on 37. Beyond that, we'll be re-equipping the facility, ensuring that we use innovative ways of securing drugs, so that a soldier may not be on a peace mission. The spouse comes with a child, and the child and the parent may have to be sent out, sometimes late in the night, to go and buy medicine and all that. If we put in innovation mechanisms, we can reduce the budget on drugs and consumables. And then with this infrastructure, Afari, and also the one that is being considered in Accra, we will be able to limit the pressure on 37 Military Hospital.
Any further question?
Yes, my last question. Doc, I think in an earlier response to a question posed by the former Deputy Minister, you spoke about Ghana's participation in peace support operations. Now, Ghana has played a pivotal role in bringing about world peace in terms of our participation in peace support operations. But it appears the level of participation has dwindled over the period. Now, what would you do to ensure that Ghana's participation in peace support operations is increased? Because, you know, beyond fostering peace when we deploy our troops, it is also a matter of welfare. So, Doc, would you want to focus on this area and ensure that our participation is increased when you assume office as the minister?
Mr. Chairman, yes, because peace support operations in itself will be one of the innovative ways of raising funds for the Ghana Armed Forces. And there's a lot to learn from Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India. They take advantage of the wet lease system, procure fit-for-purpose equipment, send them on peace missions, but then almost every 5 years will return those equipment to their countries and ensure that new ones are also procured. When that is done, the task force, that's the UN task force, that reviews the equipment that your troops are using on peace missions, get very satisfied, and they are able to reimburse you. Unfortunately, if your equipment are obsolete, you can be sure that there will even come a time that you will not be having the reimbursement that you need. These are issues that we need to go into, and we will discuss them thoroughly, look at innovative ways of procuring equipment fit for purpose, and also increasing our quotas so that it will satisfy the soldiers, it will improve the image of our country out there, and our Ghana Armed Forces will also be strengthened financially. Technology transfer.
I wish you well, Doc. Congratulations.
Well, I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Dominic Nitiwood.
Thank you very much. You know, 4 years ago, I was sitting right where you are. So the only thing I can wish you is to wish you well. Though I sat there 8 years ago, and I sat another 4 years ago. So we wish you well, and say that you are going to a very disciplined institution. You would enjoy working with them. There are the few people that when they write a speech for you, you may find it difficult to correct. And so you get a good training from them. But there are some few issues that I want to bring to your attention through questions that the people of Ghana, including yourselves made comments. I feel uncomfortable that I just left there and I have to ask you questions, but it's the duty for Mother Ghana. So I will have to do that. Ordinarily, I will not do that, but of course, we are here, we are where we are. I will do that. It's about the relationship between the Ghana Armed Forces not even deploy them to keep peace during and after elections, or even not deploy them when there are issues within which will allow the police to do that. I want to find out from you how you will position the armed forces to be able to work to help keep the peace that we have while satisfying the demand of the people that I just mentioned.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Loaded question, but I'm being prompted to be brief. So I'll try to be as brief as possible. We need to understand the doctrine, the philosophy of a soldier. They are not trained principally to be enforcing law and order in the way that a police personnel will do. I mean, I'm very sure you agree with me that throughout your stay as the Minister for Defense, you hardly came across soldiers who were holding handcuffs. And I'm very sure right here, that is the situation. You will hardly find a soldier who is holding handcuff. It should tell us what their training is when it comes to even arrest. And so we should be careful not to push them immediately there is an issue to be addressed. The police must be the first point of call, to the point that the police can do it. Let's allow the police to do it. If it becomes necessary to draw on the Ghana Armed Forces, it should be a limited operation because of the shock and awe that the Ghana Armed Forces visits even when they get to town. So it should not be the norm. For instance, in the last election, we all agreed National Election Security Task Force was going to be said that the Ghana Armed Forces was going to be on standby until the IGP has activated their deployment. We saw some few instances where we saw military people. I believe when the IGP is done with the investigations regarding the last election, the review, we will be able to understand the mechanisms that led to this movement of troops. So by and large, it is not a yes and a no that soldiers should be kept out of it completely, but it is a matter of moderation. How do we titrate their interventions such that the dominant role is being played by the Ghana Police Service? Thank you.
So follow up. Will you deploy soldiers to fight Galamsey, especially after the was incident?
Once again, the fight against Galamsey should not be viewed purely through the lens of soldiers going to fight Galamsey. There are several things to look at. Reclamation, providing alternate livelihood programs, and all. When we are clear to the people that these programs are ongoing and they are going to yield the needed results, you'll be surprised that once you are showing people of alternative livelihood programs, you may be able to reduce the numbers and the police may not be that overwhelmed. But even if it has to get to the point where you have to deploy soldiers, there are several factors to look at. There are UAVs that can do some of the things that soldiers go and do in the forest and in the mining communities. You may say that, okay, the UAVs may not even have weapons. But Honorable Minister, Honorable Former Minister, you know that there are even weaponized UAVs that, should that become necessary, that can be used. So once again, it is not a yes or a no answer. We need to look at fighting Galamsey as a comprehensive thing, providing alternate livelihoods, programs, land reclamation, letting the police do what they have to do, and if need be, bringing in the military in addition to modern technologies that can help them perform their functions. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, thank you very much. As I said before,
your substantive question.
Yes, another substantive question. As I said before, I wish you well. you would look up to the Commander-in-Chief for some of the things you say, because it's the only ministry that the Commander-in-Chief, even though he has direct interest in more of them, is the only ministry that every day when he wakes up, he wants to know what is happening.
Honorable member, please, your second question.
Honorable Minister, the second concern that the people had, and they still have, is the relationship between the armed forces and the other security services, especially the police, where sometimes you have little misunderstanding here and there and that kind of stuff. With this setup, joint training, joint operations, we set up rules for them, rules of engagement we're teaching, but still had slips here and there. And there's been massive improvement in their relationship. I want you to tell us exactly what you believe you'll be able to do to ensure that the armed forces and the other security services not just operate as individuals, but even at operation, they can operate as a unit to ensure that Ghana remains very safe as we see it now.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The collaboration between our security agencies have been very good, and I will not say that we should make perfect the enemy of good. We've had benefits from it, but clearly where we have unexpected outcomes, we will need to address them. The joint operations that they do can also be enhanced with joint training programs, more of such. And not just joint training programs, they can also have recreation together. Let's have more of that. If they are meeting each other, having physical training, even together sometimes, it brings them together, the bond becomes stronger, limits the level of competition that they may be looking at. And here I want to raise something that may look like a paradox. When you push soldiers to more and more be performing the functions of the police, if you are not careful, you are painting an impression that suggests that the police are incapable of doing what they have to do. That implicitly can generate unnecessary rivalry, which may manifest later as the clashes that we may be seeing. It is important to provide adequate training for the police, adequate training also for soldiers, ensure that where they need to come together, it is not just for operations, but also for recreation, also for physical training. And I believe the more we allow them to interface like this, we will be able to limit the clashes that we see, if not to eliminate them completely. Thank you.
Chairman, as a follow-up, will you ever consider deploying soldiers to polling stations in any future elections?
Fortunately, the Honorable former Minister for Defense once said he doesn't deploy soldiers. So, Mr. Chairman, I don't even understand his question.
Well, Mr. Nomdi, will you ever allow the Chief of Defense Staff? It's not last question, it's a follow-up. Will you ever allow
you are entitled to one follow-up.
But he said he doesn't understand, so I'm giving him.
That is his answer. You've won occupy that position.
I hear you.
And your response is that as a minister, you don't do that. So why are you?
There's no banter.
That is his answer.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I don't want to banter with you.
Yeah,
just all I wanted to find out from you is still the follow-up. He says you allow me. So the follow-up is whether you would advise the Chief of Defense Staff, who normally would deploy on behalf of the Commander-in-Chief, soldiers to a polling station in the future elections.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Under normal circumstances, it's a no, 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 no. But you see, in doing risk analysis, you cannot sit here and jump to that conclusion. What if terrorists have attacked a polling station? What do you do? So it will be based on the risk assessment and the advice that will be given. And this is why the National Election Security Task Force, with the help of Parliament, must be given strong legal backing. So that the rules of engagement, very, very clear, delineated, actions to be taken, and who gives the command and who should not give the command. So once we get all these ironed out, I believe that it will not even be me providing that advice, because on the day of election, I'm likely to be somewhere campaigning or ensuring that people are voting. And that is why I should not be the person who is even at that point giving a policy direction that soldiers should go to the polling station. Once we get a National Election Security Task Force clearly before us, and Parliament has a good bite at it, very deep bite at it, I believe that we will be able to address most of these challenges that we have had with the use of the military.
Mr. Chairman,
your last question.
Yes, last question. Mr. Chairman, first of all, the nominee has assured this House that he would follow the laid down requirements of the Ghana Armed Forces when it comes to recruitment and enlistment into the armed forces, so that we can keep the sanity within the armed forces. So I want to thank him for that, and I would hold him through the committee, whoever will be the chair of the committee on government assurance, we will hold you responsible for that statement, because we'll follow to ensure that it has happened. But there is a constitutional with it. There is a constitutional. If you don't follow, it's your own job, because you were supposed to keep me in check. If you didn't keep me in check, that's your own cup of tea. But Mr. Chairman, please
address the chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there is a constitutional provision I want you to give meaning to and to ensure that it happens. And that constitutional provision is regional balance. I didn't say tribal balance. I said regional balance. I want to find out from you how you would ensure that in the enlistment and in the recruitment of the men and women into the armed forces, and by stretch all security agencies, there is regional balance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To be brief, I'm a student of equity, and we will ensure that all the principles of equity are applied to the procedures that the recruitment process follows. For instance, if somebody is in the Upper West region and the person is going to be enlisted or recruited, how does the person go through medicals? If somebody is in the Upper East region, same. If somebody is in Accra, obviously that person will have a certain advantage because 37 is just right here. And so we will look at all the equity principles and ensure that regional balance is attained.
Thank you very much. In the absence of any follow-up, I will proceed to give the floor to Honorable Peter Lanchini. Honourable members, let me place on record that he is the fourth person to ask the question, and I've admitted questions from them in line with Standing Order 2172, which allows chairperson, ranking members, and two other members of the relevant subject matter, standing or select committee, persons nominated by persons to join the appointment committee in vetting persons nominated by the president. So they are the subject matter committee members. You may proceed to ask your question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Minister designate, congratulations. You know as well as I do that when you are dealing with military, you are dealing with precision. And I do not doubt your meticulous nature and the fact that you must be trusted by the state. So once again, I say congratulations for this nomination. The Ghana Armed Forces has a very impressive image across the world. If this committee gives you the nod, and you are finally sworn in as a Minister of Defense, you will love to protect this impressive image. How are you going to deal with impersonations in the system?
Thank you very much. We will rely heavily on DI, Defense Intelligence, to assist us. Of course, collaboration between the police and DI will also be very, very important. And then, as part of efforts to improve military-civil relations, we will enhance the receipt of feedback from the populace, such that if someone is suspicious of an individual who is portraying him or herself as a soldier, in real time, the person can launch a complaint and we address it. And when these are addressed, the aftermath of it, the punishment given legitimately and legally given, will also be made public to deter others who may want to go on the same path. And we believe that once DI heightens attention on impersonation, and the police also assist in this, and then we make the processes very transparent and the punishment thereof also obvious to citizens, people are going to be advised. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my second question. I'm sure during the briefing you have heard of defense advisors. Our defense advisors carry very high our national flag, including the flag of the Ghana Armed Forces. And over the years that I've been in Parliament, at least for the past 4 years, the story has not been encouraging at all. There are conditions of service. It's nothing to write home about. And I'm sure they are very excited to find Dr. Omane Boamah as the minister designate. Should you get a nod? Look into the camera and tell them, what will you do for defense advisors who are struggling all over the world? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, the defense advisors play critical roles in the countries where we deploy them. And they work very closely with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And so it will be a collaborative effort, of course, with the Ministry of Finance also ensuring that they are assisted as much as they should. Their challenges range from accommodation all the way sometimes even to the daily subsistence allowance that they would have to be given. When you demotivate them, and some of them are even generals, when you demotivate them like this, you do not expect morale to be high for them to do the kind of defense diplomacy that they should be doing. Not too long ago, I was talking about the right equipment to assist our peace support operations. Defense advisors, defense attaches in very critical countries can even work to let us have access to aid that we may never have thought of. So we need to invest in them for them to give us the multiplier effects of those investments. Ghana will benefit from those strategic investments. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my last question. You know, by my very training, when you meet a very confident person,
Honorable Anthony, hold it. The Deputy Minority Leader has a follow-up on the second question.
Right, thank you very much, Honorable Nominee. Congratulations. From the answer to the last question, I get the import that you don't have a direct responsibility to ensure that they are rightly remunerated. If that be the case, I don't think you are owning up to your responsibility to ensure that. What would you do? Because you mentioned the Minister of Finance as the one that has to see to it, but you have a responsibility to do them. What would you do personally to ensure that?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Coincidentally, just when Honorable was asking, then the Foreign Minister designate entered. It's a collaborative effort. And my style has always been to work together with colleagues. I've been part of budget processes right from 2009 to 2016. We contributed to every single budget of the President Mills and President Mahama administration. And we know how these go. You will submit the budget. The Ministry of Finance will have the final say. But the good thing is, with the experience that we gathered for 8 years, we will definitely be some of the people that the Finance Ministry will rely on. And we will persuade to the point that we believe that once they understand the benefits that we will be deriving from the defense attaches, they will respond. And it is part of the innovative financing of the armed forces that we have started discussing. And so you can be rest assured, I will be responsible for the soldiers, and I will work collaboratively with the Minister for Finance, the Minister for Foreign Affairs, when he's vetted, I hope not for 3 days, and approved, and then the Minister for Interior and all other colleagues as well. Thank you.
The nominee should withdraw that he hope he's not going to be vetted for 3 days. It's not up to him to decide to the committee.
Chairman, withdrawn.
Thank you very much. Can we make progress? Now your last question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Minister designate, if you appear before this committee and you are giving 100 questions that have to do with Galamsey, you will appreciate the fact that Galamsey is a hydra-headed problem for this country. It is not just a security threat, it is both economic and social. Looking at the role of the Ghana Armed Forces from the days of Operation Vanguard to Operation Halt 1 and Halt 2, what do you think the role of the military will be going forward to ensure that after 1 year of President Mohammed's term in office, even the rivers will begin to speak that the country has been reset? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I want to rest on the earlier answers that I had given about Galamsey so that I don't over-elaborate. The justification cannot be understood by anyone considering the harm that it causes. And Honorable listed quite a good number of the untoward issues that emanate from it. What sometimes we don't even avert our minds to is that for people to elect to engage in that activity, sometimes they have to take hard substances and all. So that can also have its own societal effects. That is why the idea of simultaneously providing alternate livelihoods, reclaiming lands, planting on those lands when they have been reclaimed, and there are soil scientists and technologies that can help heal some of these destroyed soils. Even placing factories in some strategic locations to process some of the produce will begin to give a new face to the fight against Galamsey. As we do this, obviously, law enforcement agencies will work together, the police, the military, to ensure that the laws are enforced. And that is why I said we need to also look at not just physical incursion of military personnel, but also using unmanned aerial vehicles. And some of them can even be weaponized to take care of this, because human beings, sometimes if they stay on these operations for a long time, get compromised. But if you dispatch a UAV, a drone, to go on surveillance and send you the exact picture of what is happening, who is going to bribe the drone? Unless maybe the one who is operating it. And the digital footprints of that drone and the operations can also be known. Should it get to the point where weapons would have to be used? As I have said, some of these UAVs can even be weaponized, but that should be the last resort. We need to quickly and aggressively get to the point where we get the people to understand that it's a no, no, no. The environmental and the socio-economic consequences are just too much. And I believe that with the self-purifying nature of water bodies, when we are able to do this with your blessings, within a matter of 1 year, we should begin to see positive outcomes from these interventions. It will be a collaborative effort. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'm so grateful. Thank you very much, nominee. I wish you well.
Thank you very much, honorable members. Using the same standing order 2177, combining it with order 6, I will recognize leadership of the minority to ask a question. 77 reads, a member of the leadership of the House is entitled to participate in the proceedings of the committee during the consideration of nominees for appointment. And standing order 6 defines leadership of the House to mean the majority leader, minority leader, the deputy majority leader and deputy minority leader, the majority whip, the minority whip, and the deputy majority whip and deputy minority whip. So I proceed to recognize Habib, Honorable Habib, as deputy minority whip. Whips, deputy whips, but majority whip and minority whip. But deputy is whips.
Road Minister, I won't be invited to the debate. Mr. Norman, my question is, in your party manifesto, you promised to increase the daily allowances of soldiers to the UN. I think currently it's around $35. So what should the soldiers in Lebanon and Sudan expect?
Mr. Chairman, we have soldiers in several places. Guinea-Bissau, Abiy, Gambia, and all. They should be rest assured that President Mahama has 4 years, and whatever promise that has been given will be worked on to the satisfaction of all stakeholders. Thank you.
Honorable Habib, do you have a further question?
Okay, Chairman, the nominee's introduction, when you asked of his self-introduction, he said he is the Director of Elections and IT of the NDC. My question is on the Electoral Commission. The Electoral Commission that declared President Mahama and declared the 275 members of Parliament. Have you 275? One is not declared yet. 275. Mr. Chairman, my question is, have you ever described the EC as criminals, incompetent, and biased? And if yes, why? Please.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Yes. Incompetence, basic arithmetic. The EC serially got it wrong. The criminality, people were transferred from their polling stations to different regions, not even within the same region, without they appearing to transfer. Bias. There were several times that we raised issues that we felt could have easily been addressed. And sometimes, as I watched after December 7, people struggling over seats, I said, look, if the Electoral Commission had listened to us and had dealt with the free pink sheets that were floating, we may not have had these issues on our hands. But obviously, the EC would not even listen to us. As we speak, we requested for a forensic audit of the voters' register and the IT system of the Electoral Commission. They never agreed. So incompetence, basic arithmetic, they were getting it wrong. The criminal aspect, to transfer people from their polling stations to different places in a different region. And when we brought this out and we asked them, they said, oh, we had not activated the liveliness test. So you knew you could activate the liveliness test. And they said, oh, it was because at the time that the procurement was done, the liveliness test was not that mature. But if they could activate it just when we identified and put out the information, what stopped them from doing that? And so, trust me, I have very good friends in there, but whenever we had to do our job to ensure that the right expressions were used, we did it. But the beauty is that it was never personal. Beyond doing our jobs, we continued very good, friendly relations. In fact, sometimes it pains me that when our General Secretary petitioned Parliament earlier, I think somewhere April 2024, Parliament did not take the necessary steps to investigate the Electoral Commission. If that had been done, we all may not have gotten to that point. But it looks like the malaise is when you are in government, you act as if the Electoral Commission is anachronistic and sacrosanct. I pray and hope that my party in government will not suffer that same disease. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any further question? Chairman, I have a follow-up to this. Doctor, how will you describe a beneficiary of a criminal, incompetent, and a biased institution?
Your question is unclear because I decided to provide reasons for each of them. Incompetence.
Explain it.
Thank you, Chairman. I decided to segregate incompetence. And I said, even basic arithmetic. And it's quite unfortunate that Honorable Habib is inviting me to maybe denigrate my own friend, Jemensa. How do you use Cora Draw for arithmetic?
Chairman with respect, Chairman with respect, I want to remind my respected friend, Dr. Omane Boamah, that he is on oath. I can also understand that it is your desire to give a detailed explanation by way of response to questions. But let me be quick to remind you. You have a duty in answering to be mindful of the third party who may suffer certain consequences of your response, which at this material moment may not have an opportunity to defend himself or herself. Suffice to state that in a political statement, one may choose to be very loose. But here, in an attempt to defend a political statement, let's be careful. I know a number of our MPP folks who this morning joined this table to say that Dr. Omane Boamah is our brother. He's our brother. And they expect a certain posture from their own caucus. If that is to be expected, then something must give.
Honorable Ranking Member, thank you very much. I believe this caution should not go only to the nominee before us. The questioners must also be circumspect in asking the question. So if you ask a question, the nominee has provided the answer, and you push for a follow-up question, I would allow the nominee to give a follow-up answer. So I was even drawing the questioner's attention to the fact that be careful where you are going off camera, but he didn't take a cue. So proceed to ask your last question.
Chairman, I take you from what my leader have said, but I don't think my question was out of place. If a nominee have described an institution that nature, and I want to find out why he described it as such, I don't think I was out of place. You indicated that you are the Director of Elections and IT, and now you are going to occupy a very important office. You'll be the Minister responsible for defense of our country. Do you intend resigning your position as Director of Elections and IT so that you can be impartial in handling the affairs of defense in the country?
Thank you very much, Chairman. No Ghanaian should have any fear about my impartiality. In fact, I can be the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, and I will be impartial. That's my nature. Trust me, and my deputies are here with me. Whether I was going to be appointed or not, I took up the job of the Director of Elections of NDC purposefully for the 2024 elections. Immediately after the elections, I told them my job was done. Amongst us, we even discussed, and we know who will be proposing to the Functional Executive Committee to take over from me. Thank you.
Chairman, yes. I'm done, and I'll congratulate you.
Thank you very much. But let me place on record that Article 78 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana is very clear. A minister can appear before a committee of parliament to hold office of profit. So if the party constitution so allow, and that minister has appeared before the committee to hold a political position of profit, there is nothing basically wrong about it. But always we ask, will you resign, will you do this? It doesn't lie in our hands to demand a resignation of the so I'll give the floor to Honorable Jerry Shaibu.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Doc, congratulations to you. I've recently perused a document which the UN, as of July 2019, had indicated that the current reimbursement rate of soldiers deployed to go on missions receive about $1,428 per person. In Nigeria, it's about $600. In Kenya, it's about $756. I've indicated, you weren't listening. In Ghana, it's about $435. First of all, do you know about this and what accounts for the differentials? And if at all, what plans do you have to have this resolved? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Not the entirety of the other countries that you mentioned. What I know is we pay $35 daily, and I think the figure per capita is about $1,400. Be rest assured that we are going to take advantage of the wet lease system. To take advantage of it will be to even do some retrospective study on what we have done with the resources that we have received so far. There are complaints about late releases when troops are supposed to even go on mission. These are all matters that we would have to address. It will be a comprehensive process and program. And I believe with your endorsement, if I become the Minister for Defense, I'll come back to Parliament to brief you details about where we are, even regarding equipment, as I alluded to. The Ghana Armed Forces can benefit from equipment. Ghana Armed Forces in Ghana can benefit from the equipment that we procure through the wet lease system. Because all you have to do is to use that equipment for about 3 to 5 years. You can bring them back home, procure new ones, and so long as you are taking advantage of economies of scale. Have we gotten to a point where maybe we will have to do some joint procurements? The police procures, army does same. Isn't it possible for us to take advantage of economies of scale? Equipment that both are likely to be using, or if we are to be looking at brands, for that particular brand, if we went to that brand, we can take advantage of economies of scale. And so it's a comprehensive thing that will have to be done. And it's not also just about what is going to the soldiers. If we are able to reduce the amount that we spend on maintenance, and it will be a paradox that if you do the maintenance more frequently, you are likely to spend less in the long run than to allow the equipment to get to terrible states before you say that maybe you are going to ensure that maintenance is done. And so give us the opportunity to serve, and we will look at peace support operations comprehensively and put before Parliament, because it will be an international agreement, new ways that we can take advantage of the PSO program to generate the needed income for our nation, to motivate our troops, and also to equip our country for us to be able to protect our territorial integrity.
Thank you. Any further question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, no follow-up, but a further question on this. So the military seeks to go through some very regimental training and activities. And there is also the likelihood of an emergence of a post-traumatic stress disorder and other related health issues. So there are health concerns here. As a medical practitioner, Do you have any plans, ideas as to how to help them not go through all the stress and health challenges? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. When I met the generals and the colonels for the briefing ahead of this vetting, when we got to the health aspects, one of them reminded me of my days with the military. You can be rest assured that we will look at health in the comprehensive way that it must be looked at, the social determinants and everything. And veterans in particular, there are some of them who still are going through a lot. I have 2 veterans in my home, my dad's side. And I remember growing up when the stories were being told. I remember very well. One of them even was shedding tears when it got to a point how a colleague was just killed during operations. So be rest assured that post-traumatic stress disorder, not just that, even before that, even before they encounter this trauma, there are some of them who may even have all kinds of conditions. Just that mental health in general in the country has not been given the right attention that it deserves. We will work together with the Ministry of Health to ensure that the programs that are being organized, the training, Ministry of Education, more of such eye doctors are trained. It is when you have more in the system that you can also have some for the military. Whilst waiting to train more, we will leverage on the existing practitioners within the mental health space to also assist them. And it's not just about mental health, it's a comprehensive thing, because the social determinants of health just will go beyond what just mere disease and ailments are calling on us to be doing for our troops.
Further question?
That's so, Mr. Chair. Honorable nominees, so how do you intend to deal with the growing threat of cyber attacks? And what steps are you going to take to enhance Ghana's cyber defense, especially in the light of our own situation? That in the very recent times, I've seen that what we used to have as the domain name, the official domain name of the presidency, has now been changed from presidency.gov.gh to johnmahama.org.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I'm not aware of the change that was alluded to, and since I'm here answering, I will not be able to check. But I'll say that I sit at the intersection between traditional security and also what happens in the cyber space. And that is perhaps one of the advantages that I'll bring to the ministry if approved by the committee and by Parliament. As a former Minister for Communications, I've had detailed interactions, deep discussions with people who know the galactic network very, very well. In fact, I've had the opportunities to interact at very high level with the inventors of the internet. Somewhere 2014, 2015, when 12 people were being selected to go and discuss the future of the internet, I was one of the people. We went to Brazil to discuss it at the level of the ITU. That was when we began calling cyber attacks, particularly on nations, as a David and Goliath kind of war, where you don't have to have too much weapons, too much ammunitions, but you can deal with a powerful nation. We need to do more. as Minister for Communications, the GOTA system that our security agencies hold, I brought the second phase of it to Parliament, which ensured that 4G LTE was incorporated within that system. So you can be assured that if it's at the level of infrastructure, we will work on it. If it is at the level of applications, we will work on it. If it's at the level of enhancing the human resource for IT, not just for the military, because the military cannot do it all alone. The National Signals Bureau must also complement the work that the military will be doing. And once we achieve this collaboration, you can be rest assured that as much as possible, we will be able to ensure early detection. No one can give assurance against a cyber attack that it will be foolproof. But the more you perfect it, you get to a better state where even if it happens, with disaster recovery and everything, you will be able to recover from that attack immediately. It was the reason that the National Data Center that is situated right here, I ensured the construction of it. We also placed a site for redundancy and disaster recovery far away from Accra. Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to mention where that site for redundancy is. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just want to wish the nominee the very best in his new role, if approved by this very House. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I proceed to a member of the committee from Majority Side, Ritana Odolesoa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I wish to congratulate Dr. Omane Boamah on your nomination by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama. Honorable nominee, we are all aware the military base is in Dadekotopon, my constituency. And over the years, as Member of Parliament, I've enjoyed some cordial relationship with the military, especially the hierarchy. But one issue I'd want to raise, during my first term in Parliament, the people of Dadekotopon were seeking to get back some of their land. And the Nanado administration promised to give them some of the land. And later, we were informed that some of the land had been released. And so the good people of Dadekotopon visited the site to see their land in some joy. They didn't have any weapons, but when they went there, I know the military is very disciplined, but when they got there, they were beaten mercilessly there. And at the end of the day, we lost one woman. I want to find out from you, what assurance are you going to give to the good people of Dadekotopon to live cordially with them, since we are, I'll put in quotes, the landowners. And I believe a landlord lives well with his tenant, and the tenant as well lives well with his landlord. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's regrettable that inspection of land released to a traditional area will lead to loss of life, violence against our own citizens. And I must say that these are things that must be condemned and also prevented going forward. What I will do is, if approved, call for the details, because the way the military works, definitely they must have accurate documentation of whatever happened. And we will study it and know exactly what happened. If there is the need for people to be compensated, why not? Because it is unacceptable if it is the case that the land had been released and they were only going to inspect land that had been released to them, then it must be seen as something that should not have happened. I'm not seized with the full facts. When the documents become available, I'll study them, I'll involve the Attorney General's department and ensure that the right thing is done. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a further question?
Yes.
Please do.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Honorable Dr. Omane Boamah, I'm reliably informed by some widows of officers that when their husbands pass on, they are supposed to receive some benefits. And these benefits take between 1 to 3 years. And it takes so much time for them to receive these benefits. What are you going to do to help our women, the widows, because they are in pain and they'll need these, benefits to sort themselves out? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, we need to expedite the processes. And in fact, maybe for good reason, it's not even spouses of deceased officers and other ranks, if this is the situation. Even when people retire, sometimes it takes a long time for them to have their gratuity. And I'm told it's because the calculations are based on actuals. And so they would have to wait for the retirement age before those calculations are done. We began some discussions on it as they were briefing me. I raised issues that I would just want them to begin to exercise their minds on. With your blessings, if I get to the ministry, we will take this up and look at how best we can work on some of these things efficiently using IT systems to assist, because of what benefit is that going to be to the widow when the money is going to be received, let's say 1 whole year after the husband passes away? But it is not just restricted to them. There's even a story of a former CDS calling after about 6 months of leaving office to remind them of his gratuity. And it is something that we intend to work on to ensure that the processes are hastened. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Thank you, Chairman. I wish to congratulate Honorable Dr. Omane Boamah, and I wish you God's blessings in your new appointment.
I'll give the floor to Patrick Boamah.
Why are you laughing? Thank you very much, Chairman. Congratulations, Dr. Edward Kofi Omane Boamah. Two issues combined. The Department for the Civilian Establishment. It's a very important division of Department of the Ghana Armed Forces and the military, as well as the VAG, Veterans Association of Ghana. They play very important roles towards the success of the Defense Ministry. VAG is asking you to consider the rationalization of their pensions together with some other non-commissioned officers. Is this something that you are going to take a critical look at when you assume office? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Welfare is at the heart of my politics. And so anything that will benefit the people is dear to my heart. I'll definitely take it up, discuss it thoroughly with the finance ministry, and we will situate it within the context of the financial challenges that we have. But you can be rest assured that we can even have innovative ways of ensuring inflows, new and additional inflows, so that we can take care of them very well. Not always inputs coming from only government, but to diversify the other sources where we can have inflows from, just to make sure that they have decent livelihoods. Because in fact, most of these people did not benefit from the kind of tiered pension system that we are having today. And there are deplorable situations in which they find themselves. And it is even also the reason why it is not just about money that people are going to receive, but also even healthcare. You can imagine somebody in Koforidua having to come all the way to 37 Military Hospital for surgery. Can there be arrangements between the 37 Military Hospital and the Koforidua Regional Hospital for such surgeries to be done, and then offsets are ensured, just to give our veterans the kind of dignity and appreciation that we have for the service that they rendered our nation? Thank you.
Thank you. I know for some time, Chairman, this is just a follow-up, that some of the civilian employees have not even received their pay slips, and it's a source of concern within that establishment, and I'll entreat you to look at it. Chairman, my second question. I'll go to my second question. You are the second medical doctor to be assuming...
You are no longer asking a supplementary question.
No.
Because you say civilian employees have not received their pay slip. Since when? You just left power.
Chairman, stop babysitting the nominee. Let me ask my question. This is babysitting from the chairman. Second medical doctor to assume the chair as Minister for Defense after Dr. Kwame Adokufo, who was the president of the Medical Council, Ghana Medical Association. He built the Defense Ministry under his tenure. I know a lot has also been done by previous administrations. The military is an institution where they are kind of very jealous with their ranks and positions and what have you. I know you to be a very strict person, but the military too, they don't compromise. You are going to be a member of the Armed Forces Council. The CDS's role is defined in the Constitution under Article 213 or so, thereabout. How sure are you, looking at your nature, are you going to be able to work with these officers who don't joke with their ranks, their positions, having been able to serve for over 20, 30 years, have risen to this level? And they say, Kofi Omane Boamah, this young man is coming to tell us to do this, like Niti, excuse my language, was also brought here as a young man to do. You know what I'm talking about. They need your assurance and cooperation, and they want to hear from you. I'm sure they are all watching you across the country and also abroad. So they want to know who Dr. Kofi Omane Boamah is, their new Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Some of them are here. The service commanders are here, and that should be an indication of how even the collaborations have gone so far. Some former generals, including the former CDS, is also here. And so we will continue to engage in wide consultation. In fact, I'm not trained a military person. So all that I've said here, I credit them with this knowledge. And you'll be amazed the plethora of briefs that they have sent and the quality of the language. You'll be amazed. The good thing is that I've been with them before. I was with some generals when they were lieutenant colonels. And they risen all the way to that point. So be rest assured, medicine has a way of letting you fit in many situations, letting you face many challenges. And the same way that I treated them and their families with respect, with dignity, and with professionalism, whilst at 37 Military Hospital, they can be rest assured that when I was living 16, 17 years ago, I'm coming back even to do it bigger and better. Thank you.
Chairman, I don't have a follow-up on that, but I'll go to my last question. I was reading about the top 5 military trends in 2024. It included artificial intelligence, advanced defense equipment, Internet of Military Things, robotics and autonomy system, and big data analytics. Looking at our armed forces, which of these new trends fits into our armed forces? And I know you've been talking about modernizing our army. And I don't want to sit here to talk about our equipment base or whatever. We're sent to Akosombo with all the security personnel, and we're run through what we have. All the former security coordinators, defense officers, they were all there. We know our strength. But looking at where we sit today and what I just mentioned, what are you going to do to improve in the area of technology to enable our armed forces meet the current trends in military and defense strategies? Thank you, and I wish you the very best, Kofi.
Thank you very much.
I proceed to give the floor to Honorable Rocks. Oh, very well, very well.
Yes.
Answer the question.
Mr. Chairman, to be very brief, modernization of the military is something that will be on the front burner. Whilst we pursue that, we will also not fall into the trap of, if we are not having the sophistication that is needed, it means we are paralyzed. So we shall optimize what we have. And I must say, it's very limited if you are to look at the trends, what our neighbors are doing, and the fact that we have assets in our land borders, the sea borders, and all. For instance, as I sit here, when I think of the Kita and the Volta basins, they stretch or seem to be stretching to other countries. These are matters that may even bring border disputes and all. So modernization is critical. We will not look at the modernization just within the context of equipment and technologies, but even modernization, the human resource and accommodation and everything, because it is when we look at it holistically that we will be able to have more from less. Our budget is limited. We are in a very difficult economic situation, and that is why when I met them, I said we need to innovate. We need to look at even how we can projectize some of our projects to tap into climate funds, so that if we can show that we have this carbon credit to trade, we will be able to have some funds to finance the military. So all these will be on board. In talking about Galamsey, I made mention of the UAVs, some of them which can even be weaponized. They all fit into this. But I will say that let's not let technology paralyze our military, because the force that we have, the expertise that they have, respected across the globe, There's so much that they are doing with the little that they have. I know they don't have the platforms to be able to fight some of the battles that they must engage in. But even there, you talk to them, and as ways of making up for the deficits, they sometimes even place naval officers on commercial vessels just so they can be able to protect some of these vessels and protect also our territorial integrity. So there are people who innovate a lot. There are people who, when supported, they will be able to do more for us. And so we will put all the balls in the air and ensure that our army is strengthened to be able to aggressively and timeously face any external aggressors. And if they also have to assist within our territory in ensuring law and order, they will do it professionally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will proceed to recognize Alassane Umar. Please be brief.
Thank you, Chairman. Dr. Omane Boamah, congratulations. I've known you for quite a while, and I worked with you to beautify Ghana and attracting companies, which are the BPO, business processing. The question, yes, Chairman, indulge me to thank him. We had an issue, and the issue was to build the Accra Digital City. The minister was anonymous, helped me when the police came after me. Yes, it even ended in court just to make Ghana work. After putting up a very nice, converting warehouses into grade A facility opposite Awudome Cemetery. Yes.
Honorable Umar, I hope after your story there will be no question.
The story, it ends with a question. I know Minister to be very detailed and is going to perform, is going to help the military, and he's going to reform, bring a lot of reform to the sector. Minister, I have just received this from Defense Civilian Staff of Ghana Armed Forces. Accordingly, they have expressed long-standing concerns about the removal of their risk allowances during the implementation of the single spine salary structure. All efforts with this government or authorities have failed. They want me to ask you, what will you help them to get it fixed? Thank you.
So it is not your question, but their question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. This question has fiscal implications. And also, we will need to assess the salary structure that is pertaining as we speak now, to know how they arrived at the salary structure. Because sometimes in determining salary structure, some items are consolidated. For instance, during the ADHA days, additional duty allowance days, when the President Kufuor administration was doing away with the ADHA, they consolidated. So I'm not seized with the entire details of this. So with your approval, if I get to the ministry, I would want to engage my former colleagues. They are my former colleagues, because as a civilian employee of the Ministry of Defense, I want to engage my former colleagues, know exactly the mechanics and the dynamics, and then we will have an amicable resolution. Thank you. And thanks very much for the work that we did together to get Ghana the Accra Digital Center.
So please ask your last question.
Thank you. Minister, it's been observed that the military have been sometimes politicized, and especially having come out from these 2024 elections. In my constituency, people came in military uniform and they were not detailed to be there. The question I want to ask is, how will you enforce discipline and stop this politicization of our military? Thank you.
Thank you. It will be a collaborative effort. If you look at the Armed Forces Council, we have the civilians and we have the soldiers working together. And it's a reality that we have to confront and address. As I've said here, we need to give the National Election Security Task Force some strong parliamentary backing. When that is done, a soldier who is being sent out by an aberrant individual will know that there are consequences ahead. It doesn't mean that as we speak, there can be no consequences for such soldiers. And in this day and age, cameras are in our palms because of our phones. People may have such evidence, images of such soldiers. The National Election Security Task Force, led by the IGP, is reviewing the entire election security and what happened. Honorable, I urge you to submit such pieces of evidence to the IGP's office. And I believe it's when we are able to identify such aberrant soldiers that we will be able to protect the thousands that are decent and professional. Thank you.
I wish you well. Thank you.
I proceed to give the floor to Roxanne Nelson, the chair of the Honorable.
Doc, congratulations.
Thank you, Council.
Somebody asked me, why defense? I said, Doc can even serve as Governor of Bank of Ghana, and he will succeed. Now, I want a yes and answer to my questions so that we have too many military barriers when we are entering the Volta region. Too many, just too many. Will you consider reducing them when you take office?
Yes.
It's Volta region, it's not Western Togoland. Chairman, I'm being harassed by Boamah. Second, I have close affinity with the civilian staff of the military. And I'm aware that the 13th month bonus, Christmas bonus, they do get it, but these days it doesn't come. Will you consider reinstating it for them?
Yes, it will be considered.
Thank you. Now, finally, I come from a riverine constituency in the Volta region. I have arguably the longest stretch of the lakefront as a constituency in South Dine. I share my western boundary with Afram Plains North and my southwestern boundary with Afram Plains South constituency. There are thousands of people who live on islands that are days sail away from civilization. If you are moving from DJ Island, for instance, to Germany, it takes you several days by boat. When there's a disaster, we are helpless. You can be rescued by another boat, which also takes hours. will you consider getting a military helicopter dedicated for such emergencies and health rescue particularly in terms of bushfires, in terms of disaster on the lake, how the people can be lifted, those who are alive can be lifted out of water so they don't sink when they get tired after swimming. You know what I speak of. Will you consider an equipment of that nature?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I wish you all the best.
It's now the turn of Honorable Patricia Piaget, Deputy Minority Leader.
Thank you very much. Honorable, may I please find out from you if you are aware that we have an affirmative action Gender Equity Act in place?
Please. Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And may I please ask, have you had a critical look at that act?
Not a critical look, but I've read bits and pieces of it.
How are you going to ensure the promotion of the women's agenda? So if you can let me have your clear initiative to ensure that women representation increases in your ministry. Thank you.
So, Chairman, in trying to analyze the Ghana Armed Forces from a gender lens, I also went into a bit of the history of the Ghana Armed Forces. And I found the Women Auxiliary Corps, that there used to be something like that. We can have a national discussion on this, and also with the advice of the military, because it's something that caught my eye and caught my attention, that this could be one of the ways that we can enhance the presence of women in the military. I know that the training is very rigorous, and so we may have to look at how it was done in the past. Those who can participate in the rigorous training may be categorized within a certain domain. And can we also have something along the lines of a Women Auxiliary Corps that can help improve the percentage of females within the Ghana Armed Forces? So in trying to do a gender perspective of the Ghana Armed Forces, this is one thing that caught my eye regarding the history of the Ghana Armed Forces. But I know the trained soldier will say that once you want to wear the uniform, you must be ready and willing to abandon all hopes of normal life. I know that is exactly what they will say. But I also see an opening, because at 37, professionals were sent on peace mission without necessarily going through the months of training before they went on the mission. So it means that the military can use the innovation that they have, if they really want to use it, to enhance the presence of women within the Ghana Armed Forces. It is something that is very dear to my heart, and we will engage them. I know it is going to be tough for them to agree, but we will have a win-win situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable nominee, by your answer, I get the feeling that you go by the perception that women are weaklings and will not be couched to be in the military landscape. If I get it right.
Mr. Chairman, no, that is not it. But the truth is, there is a reason the 100-meter record for men and for women are different. When they are recruited or enlisted, they are not going to make exceptions. Ask them. The physical training, you see them, they have to go. And sometimes carrying of locks. I'm hearing the response from the soldiers. Carrying of locks. Women are carrying it and everything. So I'm saying that equity. Women are stronger than men in several aspects. How can the Ghana Armed Forces also take advantage of the things that women are stronger in? That will even weaken men at training. How can they take advantage? So it's going to be a very innovative kind of process. But I believe that when we bring in more people, we will be able to carve out a compromise position that does not compromise the security of even the women that we will be recruiting. And I draw on the fact that doctors and other professionals go on peace missions without necessarily going through the several months of training. Of course, we go through some limited training and then we are good to go.
Thank you very much, Honorable. I'm happy you mentioned that you haven't had a critical look at the affirmative action bill, but it's a clause 60 which enjoins every ministry to ensure the achievement of the attainment of equity. That is the 30-70. And that is the reason why I'm asking you how you're going to do it. Because it is very important. There's the general view out there that it is almost unachievable when we relate it to the service. But I believe you've given us a right answer by saying that you believe there are innovative ways of looking at the issue. But let's look at this issue critically. How will you work to eliminate barriers for women in taking up combat roles or other specialized areas within the armed forces?
Mr. Chairman, this is a very loaded question, and I don't know how long I have to deal with this. Because the barriers, if you are to look at it like a labyrinth, very, very long, right from childhood, all the way, from the time of menarche and all that, menstrual cycle, they all pose major barriers to women. And so it will take a concerted effort. And sometimes when I hear, oh, someone has broken the glass ceiling, I think it's an oversimplification of the issues that concern women and girls. Because whilst that person gets to that point of breaking the glass ceiling, we forget, that kind of narrative forgets about the many that fell apart and the many obstacles that we erect whilst these women are striving to achieve what they want to achieve. And even in this room, Parliament, let's check the dominance of men here. This brings to mind the need for us to take the act and have a serious national discussion about it, particularly NDPC, and how we can deliberately mainstream gender perspectives into everything that we do. I'm not a believer in the gender desk system where you just place a solitary person in a ministry as a gender person seen to that gender desk. If we can get policymakers at the top to imbibe gender perspectives, maybe President Mahama has shown the way. We have a vice president in Professor Nana J. Opoku-Agyeman who will sit in cabinet, who in the absence of the president will be the acting president, will be chairing cabinet meetings in the absence of the president. And so you can understand that we will begin to have the rippling effect of gender perspectives coming from the top. Ending on the Ghana Armed Forces, fortunately, the vice president will be chairing the Armed Forces Council, and the vice president is a woman. So you can be rest assured that as we work with the soldiers to have a workable document, when placed before the Armed Forces Council, that will be chaired by the Vice President, Professor Jenano Opoku-Agyeman, we are likely to have favorable decisions being made from there. But we need to work together on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I do appreciate that you have rightly showed the way. And that's why I want you to put on your gender lenses very well and look at all the areas that you need to address. It is important because we would not just pass the law and not see any good implementation of the various clauses in the law. It is important that we need to ensure that it doesn't turn into a document on the shelves, but ensure that we can. So I want each and every ministry to take note of that and then find out how best. Yours is the most difficult one. So I commend you for answers so far given, but I'll be taking a very critical look of how you perform under such circumstances, and how will the Ministry of Defense collaborate with other stakeholders to ensure that children in conflict-prone areas have access to safety, education, and good health care? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. The professionalism of our soldiers is not in doubt. And we believe that so long as when we insert the soldiers in conflict-prone areas and we stick to the timelines for their rotations, they are not likely to be embedded for too long so that they may take sides. It is also the reason we need to ensure regional balance, that is equity in the recruitment and the enlisting, so that even in deployment, we are careful not to deploy soldiers who may take sides as they move. And we believe that once we are able to achieve this and also have facilities that can let children study and learn, even as conflicts are resolved amicably in their communities, we will be able to take care of them. Of course, it will not be like a peaceful place where there is no conflict, but at least they are not likely to be missing lessons in school, healthcare, and all. And so as we establish some of these bases, and there's a reason the forward operating bases are very important. When they are well developed, we can have MRS systems where basic ailments can be taken care of within these bases. And it is very, very likely that with physician assistance and good referral systems, if they have to be referring, they refer to the major hospitals. It is not just about education and health, even water. This is where the military, presently embarking on an industrial drive, can also look at how they can drill more boreholes across the country, all in a bid to enhance human security. And as we enhance human security, the people will begin to love the military even far more than they do love the military. And it is when we do more of the human security that they will appreciate exactly what the Ghana Armed Forces stands for and does for the nation. This is because, you know, sometimes when your doctor takes very good care of you and you don't fall sick, you don't appreciate what the doctor is doing for you. Because we have not been attacked, we may not be appreciating the efforts going into what we are experiencing, right from the Accra initiative and all. And so we need to balance the real combat situations with the human security aspect. And I believe a healthy blend of the two will let the populace appreciate that if you met a Major Mahama somewhere, you need to protect a Major Mahama. You don't need to kill a Major Mahama. He's been trained to defend you as a citizen. Thank you.
Right. Thank you. In dealing with the vulnerables, we know that in order to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, we are being urged to ensure that we include everybody. The mantra is leave no one out. How will you or how will your ministry promote the inclusion of persons injured in the line of duty? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We are racing against time when it comes to sustainable development goals. 2030 has caught up with us. We have just 5 years to 2030. And if you look at the indicators, we have issues. Health for all is still a major issue. Issue of vulnerable, very, very critical. And the US, for instance, really pays attention to their vulnerable, including those who are injured during wars and all. Walter Reed is awash with a lot of those people, the Walter Reed Hospital. What we need to do is, what are their needs? They can begin to walk without necessarily walking like the way they were walking previously, but assisted to walk. And we have some of these facilities in the country. We can expand it. The military itself, I would say, has almost every profession in there. The military, as part of the industrial drive, can begin to set up such outfits to produce prostheses that can help such vulnerable people. Beyond that, there are other decent jobs that people who are vulnerable can take advantage of. And within the military itself are several of them, right from the hospitals, manning elevators, administrative work, and several other opportunities that we can avail to them. The local government ministry that also sees to the district assembly common fund would also have to assist such people. They may be soldiers, all right, but they live in communities. So in looking at local economic development, how do we channel local economic development programs to be able to support such vulnerable people? These are all issues that, knowing the nature of President Mahama, and his readiness and willingness to assist such vulnerable people. A case in point was the amputees who went and won a cup somewhere last year, where he parted with a good sum of money just to support them. I'm very, very confident that working together as partners, and Parliament also ensuring that when the formula is being distributed, people with disability have their fair share, or if I may say, lion's share of that. That will help us very, very much, because we need to look at them. They were once like us. Permit my saying, just with one road traffic accident, anyone can be like them. And so we need to prepare to support them, whether they are veterans, whether they are serving soldiers, or whether they are civilians. Thank you.
Your answer, you've actually prompted me to ask this question, because as a minister, will you ensure that the defense budget incorporates gender-responsive allocation to address inequalities in the defense ministry?
Yes.
Thank you. You're right. And then finally, my final question. I know for a fact, and you also know for a fact, that currently in the country there's never been a female who has risen or ascended to the highest position in the military. But currently, I realize that there are some women at some other places. Would you promise me, or promise this House, that you are going to, your term as a minister, you are going to ensure that some of these women are propped up and assigned to the position of the highest, which no one has ever ascended to? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I believe that the women in the military are there on merit, and if at any point in time, in terms of rank, that is being considered, and rank-wise, it is the right thing to do, is an advice that I will provide to the Commander-in-Chief himself. And he's the person who chose Vice President Nana Jopukwajiman as his running mate. You can be sure he'll be too glad to have such a feat.
That's what I mean. They have really gotten to a place where they can be promoted to ascend to the highest position. Anyway, thank you very much. I know that given the nod, you are going to assist or support the progress of women in the defense service. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I will recognize Honorable George Kweku Rickett Hagan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Nominee, Dr. Omane Boamah, congratulations. I know you do a good job. First of all, I would like to, on behalf, I'm sure my chairman will do that, but as a vice chairman, I would like to apologize for the time that you have been here, for no fault of yours, earlier challenges that we had. I'm only going to ask you one question, because I don't want to prolong your time here. Question is a bit, I just want your view. Obviously, matters of defense are sensitive in nature, but I'm interested in knowing about the defense budget. I realized that in the last, at least since 2020, the COVID period, to 2024, the or the defense budget has basically been declining for the last 4 years. And then as a percentage of GDP, it's actually quite small compared to, other countries. Now, we've attempted to buy certain military equipment. I wouldn't like to, name them for obvious reasons. And I'm wondering, we are in a very difficult economic situation, as you know, in terms of fiscal space, in terms of debt levels. I know that the army is there to protect us, the frontiers of Ghana, of Ghanaians, and we need to make sure that they have the resources and well equipped to do that, including the use of modern technology. But what is your view? Is the military currently adequately funded? I mean, I know with everything, people ask for more money. But in your view, I know you haven't been there yet, but of course, I know you, before you came here, you've done some research. In your mind, and this is a view, is the army, or just make it defense, adequately funded to protect this country when the need be? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. When one of the best finance brains in the country is asking you a question about financing, you have to sit well. I try to use evidence to back my conclusions. And the temptation is there for everyone to say we are not adequately funded. So I went beyond what was inadequate funding. Unfortunately, I and Honorable Kandapa were the co-chairs for the Security and Public Safety Committee of the transition. So if you look at the dwindling capacity, and for good reasons, I don't want to mention any of that. If you look at the dwindling capacity, it's clear that we need to do more. We need to do more. And we need to be careful as a country, because the descent of terrorists is real. The derivatives of Al-Qaeda in the Maghreb, ISIS and all, and even in this country, even though we've not experienced terrorist attack, evidence suggests that one or two people once moved to join ISIS. If this has happened, it should tell you indoctrination may even be happening somewhere. If we begin to look at the budget within this context, then we will understand why, even though we need water, even though we need higher salaries, even though we need more roads, even though we need A, B, C, blah, 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 we need to spend more on our defense systems. But we also have to be innovative in the financing. We may have to, and I believe, move away from buying at once, let's say $100 million, $150 million, or $200 million. Can we begin to go into more structured financing where it is spread over longer periods? Particularly if we are going to be committed to it and meeting our debt obligations. That can assure them, because they know the credibility of Ghana's army. Ghana Armed Forces is not going anywhere. And so if we are buying an equipment for them, particularly if we dovetail it into the wet lease system of peace support operations, there is so much that we can have. Through that, we can have more casas to transport our troops and also to transport others. Through that, we can also have a jet that can not just carry the executive but also the legislature, the judiciary, and other aspects of our nation when the need arises. Through that, we can also improve on the platforms that we have for our military to take action, either on the sea or in terms of having more air assets for our Air Force. Because otherwise, as we speak, we have a 3-star general heading the Air Force. But I'm sure you know, go into the air assets that we have. It's not good for our country. It's not good for our security. It's not good for our safety. We need to double up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I did say I will ask one question, so I'll stick to that. I know that we'll have opportunity in the future to have more constructive and progressive discussions on military funding in this country. I know you do well. I wish you well. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now proceed to give the floor to the ranking member and the minority leader.
Honorable nominee, thank you for spending time with us on this vetting. Please, let's go to page 3 of your CV. Please, can I proceed? Please, you have the leadership positions held. And the last on the list, if you may read it aloud. If you may read the last one aloud.
Mr. Chairman.
Proceed.
Yeah. President Cadet Commandery 403 of Knights of St. John International, 1994 to 1996.
Are you a member of this, the Knights of St. John's order?
I was part of the Cadet Commandery. That is the younger ones, but I didn't progress to the senior level.
So, let's stay there a bit. At that level, so was it a fraternity of the Catholic order? The Knights of St. John, what is a fraternal order?
It is an association in the Catholic Church, just like we have the Charismatic Renewal, just like we have Knights of Marshall, just like we have St. Vincent de Paul. Knights of St. John is also an association within the Catholic Church.
So it's a fraternal order within the church?
I don't know the operational definition that you are giving to fraternal order. That's why I'm sticking to an association. It's a society within the church.
That's fair enough. Fair enough. So, in that order, in that society, what were you taught?
At the cadet level, we were taught discipline, being time conscious, values of Christianity, fellow feeling, love for one another, and the military drills that we went through, because it's a paramilitary society that we went through, also helped to shape us. We also had a lot of drama events that we performed at St. George Cathedral, and it also helped us, even a public speaking wise. We also went on programs where people from different commanderies came together. We all met in Asamankese. That time, the Accra and the Koforidua dioceses, we all came together as young people and served God, learned a lot, engaged in quizzes, and also played together.
You would agree with me that membership was not open to everybody?
So long as you are a Catholic and you fall within that age bracket, it's open to you. When you mature, you then can move to the senior level. And it's something that one day I will progress into.
Is there a process of initiation to enable you join at the senior level?
At the senior level?
Yes.
I haven't joined, so I'm unable to tell.
How would you react to a person who does not know about the value system in the Night of St. John and denigrates same? How would you react?
Night of St. John, we are taught the values of Christ, Christ-like, tolerance. And so we will take such criticisms in our stride, and if there's the opportunity to educate them, like this huge platform is giving me the opportunity to share what we were taught, I will definitely share such thoughts with such a person.
So you agree with me that those who do not belong to this society and this order would not know the tenets of this order, correct?
I mean, so
you need to belong to know. If you don't, you are not a member, you wouldn't know. You agree with me?
I mean, unless you're a medical doctor, you are not likely to know the nitty-gritties of what we do.
Look, I want to be very short with you. Just like Dr. Fiamakpo, my respected classmate, said. Just go straight to the point, because I know some of your guys are anxious. I would be as short as possible with you if you just stay to the course. What I'm saying is that those who are not members of this fraternity within the Catholic Church would not know a tenet, correct?
They will know some of them, but not all.
Let me stay there briefly with you. It is not open to everybody, correct?
It is
outside of the church.
No,
you must first be a Catholic. And being a Catholic, you must elect to be part of it.
Yes.
It's not the only society in the Catholic Church.
No.
So if you are not a member of that society, you wouldn't know its value system and practices. You would agree with me?
Because we do membership drive, we share some of these value systems. And I remember even those days in Pope John, I mean...
So my point is that if you are not a member, or you've not had the benefit of knowing the values of the society, you wouldn't know.
Exactly. Just
simple.
Like any other
that's
thing.
the point.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me understand you on your employment history. Page 2 of your CV. Let me know when you get there. You're there. So, item 2, you didn't number it, but the point 2, policy advisor and political strategist to President John Dramani Mahama, 2017 to 2024. Were you on salary? Were you paid? Very well. As private medical practitioner, Afra International Hospital, 2019 to 2022, was it on salary?
Not on salary, but on There was compensation, but not on like monthly salary as had been structured.
So were you walking in and performing some services and being paid?
No. For the periods that I worked, I could work, let's say, for 1 month, sometimes 2 months, and then it will be accumulated and paid.
How were you paid?
I don't understand your question. How?
I mean, you said that there was some compensation, not salary per se. You said not salary per se, the monthly salary. That's what you just said.
Yes.
Right, but you were paid.
Yes.
Were you paid on the table, cash on the table, or they paid through your account direct transfer, or they issued you a check anytime the employer needed to pay you?
It was paid directly.
Cash on the table, you mean?
Not cash on the table. Cash in envelope.
Cash in envelope?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, you would agree with me? You would agree with me, Dr. Kwame, are you a free? The nominee, who is your cousin, is on oath, and you are having a convo with him. And honorable nominee, my respected friend, you are on oath. You are supposed to stay away from all external convo. Is that okay? Very well. Now, you would agree with me that since you were receiving your salary, your compensation, your pay in an envelope, cash in an envelope, you would agree with me that you wouldn't know whether your employer was paying your tax or not.
I wouldn't know, but I have no reason to doubt that the employer will not pay.
Have you, within the period 2019 and 2022, did your employer, Afra International Hospital, furnish you with evidence of payment of taxes on your behalf?
No.
Given the opportunity, in an envelope, cash on the table, in an envelope.
Definitely, since it's the responsibility of the employer, I can contact the employer. And if that is what you need, definitely.
It's statutory. It's not that what I need, with respect. Yeah. I mean, when we work, we're supposed to pay. It's our duty to pay taxes.
Yeah.
And you are coming into public service. That's why you stated it on your CV. That's why I'm doing this inquisition.
Yeah.
So it's not that I need. The state needs it. Now, let me move to the next point. If I understand your CV, page 2, correctly, you are saying that the last time you were gainfully employed was November 2022, correct?
Not necessarily. And I take it as, if not well structured, it will be as if I had no income from December 2022. I had. And because I'm directly responsible for that, I even have documents to prove the tax aspect of that.
Doc, I'm taking it step by step. On your CV, point 1 on your CV, you have told this honorable committee that you worked between 2019 to November 2022. In fact, for the 2019, you did not provide us which month you started working with AFRA. Would you be able to provide us with the month you started working?
I'll check it.
Very well. That's fair. Now, in this employment, were you given a letter of appointment?
And what have you. I know you to be a very strict person. But the military too, they don't compromise. You are going to be a member of the Armed Forces Council. The CDS's role is defined in the Constitution under Article 213 or so, thereabout. How sure are you, looking at your nature, are you going to be able to work with these officers who don't joke with their ranks, their positions, having been able to serve for over 20, 30 years, have risen to this level? And they say, Kofi Omane Boamah, this young man is coming to tell us to do this, like Nitu, will excuse my language, was also brought here as a young man to do. You know what I'm talking about. They need your assurance and cooperation, and they want to hear from you. I'm sure they are all watching you across the country and also abroad. So they want to know who Dr. Kofi Omane Boamah is, their new Minister of Defense.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Some of them are here. The service commanders are here, and that should be an indication of how even the collaboration has gone so far. Some former generals, including the former CDS, is also here. And so we will continue to engage in wide consultation. In fact, I'm not trained a military person. To all that I've said here, I credit them with this knowledge. And you'll be amazed the plethora of briefs that they have sent and the quality of the language. You'll be amazed. The good thing is that I've been with them before. I was with some generals when they were lieutenant colonels, and they've risen all the way to that point. So be rest assured